Hope you're doing very well this morning. Let's look over a rather grey London. A bit cloudy, not too bad. My legs are working again, so I'm out and about. I feel like with West Ham at the moment, it feels a little bit like the calm before the storm now in terms of our transfer activity. It's got a little bit quiet recently, and like myself, like yourself, I'm imagining as well, like feeling a bit frustrated that things aren't moving forward. Especially after watching that friendly. I have watched back and looked at the highlights now. Yeah, midfield is concerning still. So much work to be done. We've got a bit of an update on the midfield, but I'm just going to hold off on that till a bit later. The reason being because I need to speak to X and understand the situation a little bit better. And that's regarding Lucas Paqueta, which I think is quite interesting. But as I say, I just want to get a bit more clarity on that before I talk about it, because I don't want to mislead or anything. But I feel like we're getting some interesting developments. Also about that, just quickly on the midfield, was Ben Jacobs put out an article. No, is it an article you see it possibly? Or it was a social media post what we did. Very reliable journalist, Ben Jacobs. I think he's been very good actually in this transfer window. And he's basically said in one of his statements that West Ham after multiple midfielders in this transfer window. I do feel like we're just about to now start seeing West Ham really push ahead and get some deals done. But what I want to talk about is the goalkeeper situation this morning, because that feels imminent. That feels very imminent. So the update from EXWHUEMPLOYEE was that a new goalkeeper now is a top priority at this stage. Like, obviously midfield is a big priority, but as of today, what we want to get done is a goalkeeper. Now we've got three in the mix. Zion Suzuki, we talked about before. Now we talked about this in a video a few weeks ago, and we said that talks were advanced, and that was because the club had actually sat down with the player, which is quite advanced. Do you know what I mean? That's quite a... That's not an early stage of development in trying to sign a player. You know, that's a player that's quite interested and wants to listen to what you've got to say. He's still considered a top target for that position. So as much as I've kind of put him out of my mind a little bit recently, the last few weeks, I've kind of felt that it probably I think was going to happen because it's sort of quietened down. Well, the update from X suggests that isn't actually the case. He's still considered a top target. It's actually the player, whether he wants to stay in Italy a little bit longer or he wants to come over to the Premier League now. That's is one of the issues there. Also talked about Mads Hermansen. Now, Mads Hermansen for me was always the one from Leicester City. Was the one that I felt that we would go and get because of his links with West Ham's coaches and the fact that he's been known as a top target. They've now signed Begovic, Leicester City, so that he is now available. I mean, he hasn't been featuring in their pre-season. He's definitely been sold. There is interest though elsewhere for him. Competition, I believe, Newcastle showed an interest, although I've read that also Newcastle looking at Ramsdale as well, which I'm quite surprised about, I've got to be honest. But yeah, so Mads Hermansen is considered as well. I consider a key target. Also, Michael Cooper now of Sheffield United. Now, Michael Cooper, 25 years old, Will Salthouse client. That seems to give us a bit more of an advantage in that one. I do think that every time we get linked with a player though is under Will Salthouse, everyone thinks, well, it's David Sullivan. I totally get why that's the case, but we have that clarified that is not the case with Michael Cooper. He is a player that's been identified by Graham Potter and Carl McCauley, so it's just a coincidence that he is working under Will Salthouse. Things also seem to be slightly slowing down a little bit on the Callum Wilson front, which is quite good, but again, I don't know enough about it just yet. But it seems, not saying it's slowing down, but I think there's possibly some decisions being made whether they're going to go ahead with that, so, and possibly as well with the player because he's looking elsewhere, so hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't want that one. I'll be honest with you, after seeing Michael Antonio score a couple of goals, if he's going to be fit, and he wants just someone who's going to be a third choice to be a backup, I'd rather see Antonio, definitely. So yeah, I'm expecting West Ham to make some moves. I think that we're going to see possibly even today that we're going to see some serious movement in terms of the goalkeeper front. That is considered now the top position that we need to get sorted out, especially after seeing Ariola's performance once again against Manchester United. So yeah, they're the three: Suzuki, Hermansen and Cooper of Sheffield United. I don't really have a major preference on any of them really. I'm going to be honest, personal. I'm not that knowledgeable other than Mads Hermansen. I've looked into more than others now because I felt that this was the player we're going to go for, so I found myself getting quite excited by him because he looks a very good goalkeeper. I like his distribution as well, so I do feel like, oh, that's the one I want to see get over the line. But looking at others from other people from doing content, from reading up at him as well. Michael Cooper is considered a very good goalkeeper. He's been excellent for Sheffield United as well. Homegrown, 25 years old. I mean, 25 years old. I mean, this is what you mean. You're getting a goalkeeper for like the next 10 years. Do you know what I mean? It's a big position. We need to get it sorted. So I'm expecting today we might get a bit of movement there. But I do think, although it's gone a bit quiet, we had this before Diouf. We had a few days where it just went like really radio quiet, silence on the old West Ham front, and I was thinking, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, bang, we ended up getting, wasn't it, we got Diouf and then Kyle Walker-Peters. I've got a feeling it's going to be a little bit similar like that. So that's going to be the goalkeeper situation. Of course, I think, as I say, the top, I feel like that's imminent now. They're going to try and get that sorted. And also then the midfield, which is multiple players according to Ben Jacobs. So I think it's going to be an interesting few days. Anyway, have a good one. I'll catch up with you later. Come on, new ones.